On your tables, you're going to see a piece of paper with numbers on it. So, yeah, you like that. All right, so the segue to that, though, is please steal what I'm about to share with you and use it, right? Because that's what we're here to do. So, how I used a follow-up strategy to grow 1,287% in 90 days. And so, it's what I like to call our connection journey. Podcasting, referral partnerships, and then follow-ups. So, how often are we as CEOs getting bombarded with questions and like things that people want from us daily, right? Ads, people asking us for things. What if we flipped it and started thinking about how we can give to these CEOs and how we can give to our referral partners and how we can be a source of joy when you see that person come up on a text message or a phone call. And so that's what I strive to do with all of my relationships, so that when people see me calling, that they go, oh, it's Armando calling. He doesn't want something, he wants to give something. So why podcasting? For me, podcasting has been such an amazing tool because we can use it for a variety of different things. Building rapport, weeding out process. So for us, and I'm sure for you guys too, you guys don't necessarily want to work with everybody. And we don't necessarily gel with everybody. That's why we're in this mastermind, because we gel and we all have sort of the same frequency as to what we like and what we do. So we do the same thing with our podcast, is when we want to work with a referral partner, we'll bring them to the podcast so that we can kind of vet them and see if they're a good fit. Content creation. It's super easy to create content with a podcast. Long form content that you can cut up, super easy. And you're doing it with other experts, other people that have social currency, right? Brand building, it's amazing for that. Social currency. So we all have social currency when it comes to our digital presence. And it usually turns into actual currency if your social currency is high, right? Credibility and trust is also built with the podcast. And then finding the who's you need. In my leadership meetings every week, we're going, well, we have this problem, we have this problem, we have that problem. And I know you guys have read Who Not How. So I'm constantly going, who do we need to solve this problem? And who is the best person to solve it? Who's the expert in this? Great, let's find that person and let's bring them to the podcast and let's create a relationship with them so that they can help us solve this problem. And so now we're filling up our network with a bunch of who's that can help us solve problems so that we're not having to troubleshoot and we can just get the experts that we need. So we're learning from the pros. And then I use it for recruiting. So my COO, who's been with me for the last 4 years, was on my podcast 4 years ago. And we got to talking, we created the relationship. All of a sudden, he's my COO now. And we've grown as a result. So that's why we use podcasting. I want you to think about who can you connect with this month that can change your entire business. And it only takes one person. One person that you can connect with that goes, man, I'm going to connect with him. And as a result, networking, I mean, everybody knows Charles Bird here, an amazing person to know and to meet and to really get in good with. But people like this and people pretty much in this room have lots of networking, lots of people that they know. How are we connecting with those people? And how can those people connect with us in a way that can help us grow our business? Lewis Scott right here, good friend of mine. We went to high school together. During COVID, he created a company called 8-Figure Firm where he was helping attorneys scale their businesses to 8 figures. I brought him on my podcast. We had one conversation. All of a sudden, he's like, hey, Armando, will you come and create content for me? I was like, sure, let's go do that. Then he starts referring me to all of his attorneys and has given me at least 2 million in referrals. Paul Faust, some of you guys know Paul Faust. If you guys don't know Paul Faust, he was in The Office as Cool Guy Paul. He's also in my TV show right now called Life on Bourbon that I wrote and I just finished producing. I met him at an 8-Figure Firm mastermind. I wanted to connect with him, brought him on my podcast. Now he's in my show as a business partner in the show, as one of the bar owners. And then he also has given us at least 480K in referrals. Jen Gore, same deal, personal injury attorney in Atlanta. 300,000 in referrals. Kevin Daisy, Array Digital, has also given us about 60K in referrals. What do they all have in common?
They were all guests on your show?
They were all guests on my show. And
They give you referrals.
they're also in the attorney space. So these guys are all in the attorney space. And that's what I did. In November, I said, how can we simplify the process and how can we scale faster? And how can they stop asking Armando so many damn questions? Because we were doing content for Audi of New Orleans. We were doing content for Haunted History Tour. We were doing content for Justin Chopin, the PI attorney. And we were doing content for all of these different verticals. And at every point, they would have to say, Armando, what are we doing with this client? Armando, what are we doing with that client? And so in November, I said, that's it. We're going to niche it down and we're going to just do attorneys. Now, we didn't stop saying no to other people that were already sort of in our network and wanted us to help them. But as far as us targeting, we were just going, all right, we're going all in on attorneys. And as a result, got asked to speak at the 8-Figure Firm Mastermind. Now connected with some of the big conferences, the legal conferences, PILMA, Lottie Gras, all of these different law groups. And so I'm just kind of positioning myself in that space as the expert for helping attorneys. And that was the single biggest decision that I made that helped us grow really, really quickly. And now we already know how to work with PI attorneys. We already know how to work with family law attorneys. So Gary over here who's shooting, I don't have to retrain him on how to shoot for them because he already knows. And so now we have a scalable and predictable model and makes things faster. And the faster we get, the more money we make. So here's our podcasting strategy. Step 1 is niching down. And that's super important. And when we say niching down, we're not talking about, okay, we want to help entrepreneurs that are making $5 million and up. That's not necessarily a niche. But if you're going, hey, I want to work with roofers, or hey, I want to work with online coaches, or hey, I want to work with plumbers, then that person can go, oh yeah, I know where those people hang out. I know which conferences they go to. I know which Facebook groups they hang out in. And it makes it super easy to find the influencers so that we can connect with those people. Because 10X is easier than 2X, right? Dan Sullivan's book, read it? Yeah. We're going to spend time anyway, so why not spend time on the 10X stuff instead of the 2X stuff? And so step 2 is what we do is we invite the influencers, the Facebook admins, the conference organizers, the coaches in that niche superlative sites like Super Lawyers. And that's where we get all of our contacts for who we want to create relationships with that already have hundreds, if not thousands of people in their email list. But if you don't niche it down, it's going to be hard to do, right? And then step 3, I always schedule a time for them to come onto my podcast. So before, we were kind of just sending a Calendly link and go, hey, we'd love to have Charles on the podcast. And then Charles would go, all right, I'll get to it when I get to it. But we saw at least a 60% increase in people showing up to our podcast when we said, hey, Charles, are you available next Wednesday at 2 p.m. Central? And then Charles now has a date that he can say yes or no to instead of leaving it open-ended. And so we started doing that. And like people just kept signing up. They would say, oh, no, I can't make that date. Do you have other times available? And we'd be like, great. And now we started scheduling them. So we had amazing results once we started saying, hey, why don't you just go ahead and schedule that time? And then keep it simple. Here's the thing. Nobody's going to watch your podcast. They're just not. I have a client, Audrey LaCrone, who is an accent coach for A-list actors. Kaluuya, the main actor in Get Out. What's his name? Daniel Kaluuya. She coached him in the Malcolm X movie that he won an Oscar for. She coached him. She's dealing with A-list actors, and she started a podcast, and she can't get anybody to watch her podcast. So that should take the pressure off because nobody's going to watch your podcast. Doesn't matter, right? So it doesn't matter. Nobody's going to watch your podcast. But that's not why we're creating the podcast. We're creating the podcast to create relationships, to build brand, to create content, and build relationships. That's the only reason why you should be doing a podcast right now. And then it takes about 100 by the time, when you get to 100, then maybe people will start listening. But like I said, that's not, if people listen to my podcast, that's secondary for me. It's all about the connection. I also stream the podcast live. I used to record it and then cut it up and then give it to the guests, and they'd put their eyes on it and they'd be like, oh, well, can you take this part out and blah, blah, blah. And it would just gum up the entire process. And I said, you know what? We're going to go StreamYard. We're going to go live. And we just go live several times a week. And just, it's out. Once it's recorded, it's out. It's on YouTube. And then we take that recording and we put it on Podbean. And it's up on Spotify, Apple Music, and all the other podcasts. So I just go live straight. Don't even worry about recording it. And then you can still take the recording and cut it up into content anyway. So don't even worry about that. And then, step 6, post it on these podcast platforms. So, podcast as a connection engine. So I told you guys I just created Life on Bourbon. It's a TV show. I'll let you guys know more about it. Glenn's in it. He's playing a character in it. And so it's going to be really, really funny. But I got my entire TV pilot funded by people that were on my podcast. They funded it. I put it on Kickstarter just as a marketing tool. And all of a sudden, people are dropping $5,000, $10,000 into the project. And I look back and I'm like, how did I meet that person? Podcasting. Holy shit. It works. Rufus Crescent, my financial advisor. I brought him on my podcast. He introduced me to a mastermind called the Visionary Forum. And then that opened up a whole revenue stream for me, right? Will Brooks, I told you about him. He's my COO. He was on my podcast. And then Glenn, I'm here on stage. A year ago, I came here. Jasmine Jonte was on my podcast. We had a conversation. She said, you need to meet Glenn. We got in touch, and now here I'm on stage. So, yeah, love it. And me and Glenn, every time I'm in Miami, I'm like, Glenn, where you at? And then we go have dinner, and it's always a good time. So, here's our pre-podcast workflow. So I'll get somebody to say, hey, Carlos, you want to come on my podcast? Also, Carlos over here was on my podcast, and now he's in the room. So I'll have Carlos on the podcast. I'll have my VA create a speaker one sheet, and I'll give you guys these in Canva so that you guys have it. Super easy. Use ChatGPT to come up with their title, and then the things they love to talk about. If you're inviting professionals, they already probably have a speaker one sheet, so you can just take it from there. We work with a lot of attorneys that have never been on a podcast, so we have to create it for them. But depending on what niche you're in, you may have to create it. But it just gives them that wow experience throughout the process. And that's what we wanted to do based on Joey Coleman's book, Never Lose a Customer Again. Have you guys read it? It's a really good book. But it just talks about how do you create wow experiences throughout the entire process so that people are like, holy shit, this guy's really fun to work with, right? He's thought about everything. So we'll create the speaker one sheet for them. We'll send it to them. They're like, they see themselves as a speaker. They see themselves, oh, wow, okay. I have something to say. Wow, okay. Somebody like to call it ego bait. Works for me. And then we'll design the thumbnail on StreamYard so that it'll show up on YouTube. Hey, Tuesday at 2, we're going to have, Glenn talking about this. Then we share our social media pages in that email so that they can share their email. And then we also have our team follow them on social media too. And then we can talk about how we can engage with them and create more of those love touch points that I'm going to get to here in a second. It's our secret sauce. And then we have a bunch of follow-up built in to go high level, and I'll send you guys a GHL snapshot of it because our open rate is super high. And we also send them a prepare for your podcast video and then texting and email that it's almost time for their episode. So that's our pre-podcast workflow. Podcast production. So I'll have my team make sure that they tune in on YouTube or LinkedIn, wherever we're going live, so that we have an audience. And then I'll let them know, hey, let your team know that we're going live so that we can have more engagement on that. I like to create content that's centered around what we do and how we help, right? So we create a lot of content. So we're talking about social media, marketing, podcasting, things like that. But I'm also talking about what their expertise is too. Everybody's read Raymond Edwards' How to Write Copy That Sells? Some? Okay, it's a good book. Pastor is what he uses for VSLs and how he structures his landing pages. We just took that model and we're like, these would be great questions to ask in a podcast. So P stands for person, pain, and problem. So who are the people that you help, right? Who are the people that you help? Yeah. Who are the people you help? You help people create their dreams?
We help people that are looking to build their dreams. Yeah.
You're looking for people that are helping. And what's some of the problems that they have?
The problem is that they either don't know that they can dream, or they don't know that they have a dream, or they don't know how to act on the dream once they have it. So they need the steps.
And then A stands for amplification. So what happens if they don't take action?
They get the same result that they are currently getting.
Amazing. Can you tell me a story of somebody that you've helped?
No pressure. I'm brand new with the company, so
Sure.
I can tell you a story of a person that. No.
No, great, that's fine. But they'll have a story, right? Hey, here's a story of somebody that I helped. And then the T stands for transformation. What was the transformation that they had as a result of working with you? Oh, well, amazing. They wanted to start their own business, and now they're 7 figures in revenue. That's the kind of results you can expect working with us. That's awesome. What's the offer, right? Oh, how do people work with us? Well, they can work with us this way, this way, this way. And then R is the resolve or the call to action. How do they find you? Oh, they can visit us, www.buildyourdreams.com, or they can give me a call. Awesome. Thank you so much for being on the show. Make some noise. Thank you. I know I put you on the spot, but I'm sorry. All right, so if you guys, yeah.
How long are your podcast episodes?
20 minutes. If it's going well and they're like on a roll, then 45 minutes. But I cut it off at 20, 25, something like that. The thing for me is be genuinely interested in what they have to say. I have a client who's doing a podcast, and I saw the recording on social media, and the guy is talking, and she's just like literally like just looking around, and I'm like, hey, can you look at him and just smile and agree and be engaged? Like, be engaged with the person that you're talking to. She couldn't look more bored. So be genuinely interested. And I take this, how do you make them look like a rock star, from the improv world. So I took improv at the Upright Citizens Brigade in LA, and I like to bring improv just rules into my life. Saying yes and. If we're building a scene together and I'm like, hey mom, and you're like, you're not my son, our scene goes nowhere. And we're like, great, thank you so much. This is gonna be great, right? So saying yes and helps build on what we're trying to create together, right? Second one is, say the first thing that comes to your head. A lot of times we are just self-imposing the filter because of all the head trash that we have about ourselves and our imposter syndrome and stuff. So what we want to do is we want to empower the person that we're talking to make them look like a rock star, and whatever they have to say is the most amazing thing you've ever heard in your life. Oh my God, tell me more about that. How did you get over that? Well, basically this. Are you guys taking notes? Did you hear what he just said? All of a sudden, boom, oh my God, I love talking to Armando. He makes me feel amazing because I'm making them look like rock stars. Right? If you guys just take that one thing and apply it to your personal life, you will make friends very, very quickly. I come from an Army background. My dad, who's in the back, came in and he was like, I want to come see you do your talk. But yeah, awesome. And my sister. But what I learned when you're an Army brat, every 3 years, you have to move. Every 3 years, they uproot you and they go, hey, we're going somewhere else. So what did I have to do? I had to learn how to make friends quickly. Because I was like, man, I got to make friends fast. Otherwise, I'm going to be here 3 years and not being able to engage with anybody. And it wasn't until a year ago when I started thinking about why and how I've been doing this. I go, oh, wow, okay, I try to make people feel like they're rock stars, right? But I try to make them feel good about themselves. And I think that has translated well into how I connect with people and bringing all of those tools together, because that's how we build a business. Somebody was talking about that today. It's all relationships. Business is relationships. It's nothing different. And so on these podcasts, I'm trying to make the person feel like they're the most important person in the world. Words of affirmation. Has everybody read the 5 love languages? 1, 2, 3. Okay. If you haven't read the 5 love languages, read the 5 love languages. It's a great book. My wife said, you need to learn how to spend more quality time with me. That's my love language. I was like, okay, I don't know what that means. Okay. So I read the book. And she was like, oh, okay, I see what you mean by quality time. I see what you mean by acts of service and words of affirmation. You got to hear that you're doing well. You want to hear, oh, doing great, honey. Amazing. You're an amazing wife. You're an amazing caretaker. Love what you're doing here at home, right? And hearing those words of affirmation help people soften, right? That's how we connect. People want to connect. So words of affirmation works extremely well. Love what you're wearing today. She's always wearing amazing clothes. She's always styling and profiling. I like the jacket today. Very nice look. Very Miami. So that's a words of affirmation, right? I also set up the referral partnership call right then and there. So as soon as we get done with the podcast, Carlos, thanks so much for being on the show. I'll go out. Thank you. That was amazing. Here's the thing. I work with a lot of attorneys. I know you work with a lot of attorneys. We should talk next week and just set up a call, see how we might be able to help each other. Sound good? Does Thursday at 2 work?
Yes.
Great. Thursday at 2, I always schedule the time. Don't leave it open-ended. Have a time to have that call. I put in 80% conversion rate here because I didn't think you guys would believe that it's 100%, but it's 100%. I've never had somebody on the podcast that didn't want to have a conversation with me after. Never. Huh?
They don't bill you for it?
They don't bill me for it? No, not yet. But you know, I'm over 200 episodes of Spaghetti on the Wall. That's my podcast. And then I have another podcast, Partnership for Profits, that's solely for, and I have a podcast host for that's solely just to connect with law firm, legal vendors, and lawyers. But yeah, 100% conversion rate on that we just go from a podcast to a referral partnership conversation. Super easy. So that's our podcast production. This is post-podcast production. This is what we do after we do the podcast. We send them a compliment and a link to the podcast immediately. Once again, Carlos, amazing job. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. I know you could have been doing other things, but you decided to come into my podcast, and I really appreciate that. Here's our YouTube channel so that you can share that with your people. 2 days later, I asked them for a review. When I dialed this in at the beginning of the year, we were doing this, but this wasn't as intentional and it wasn't as dialed in as it is right now, which is how we've grown as quickly. We would just kind of ask for a review here and there. Sometimes we went from 70 reviews in January to 140 right now on Google My Business. And so people are just leaving us reviews and 5-star, not just a 5-star review, but oh my God, amazing people, high quality, loved it so much. The experience was amazing. The testimonials have been incredible. And then what we do 2 days later is we give them a review. Hey, you know, even if I haven't worked with a PI attorney, I can talk about the caliber of person that they are, right? Mike, amazing personal injury attorney, right? Aren't you a personal injury? Second job. You know, highly, couldn't recommend him highly enough. And then we roll into a referral request right then and there, because at that point they're prime and they will usually send us a nice referral for the podcast, not a referral for the business. Let me just make that clear. I'm not asking them to send us business at that point. Right there, yeah, I'm just asking, hey, do you know any other legal vendors or any other attorneys that would be a good fit for Partnership for Profit? And they're like, oh my God, yeah, you should have so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so. And so we can just fill up our podcast pipeline like that, super easy. And then a few days later, we introduce them to somebody in our network. If you guys aren't using this as a follow-up strategy, I highly recommend it because it's such a good way to engage with somebody. So we go, hey, you should meet so-and-so, they do this. Hey, and you should meet so-and-so, they do that. I'll let you guys take it from here. Super low risk, super easy, and it shows you as a connector, right? So at this point, I'm giving compliment, I'm giving them a review, and then I'm introducing them to someone in the network, and then I'm also sending them their Spotify and Apple podcast link. So this happens right after the podcast. This is what we're doing. This isn't after the referral call yet. So once we get on the referral partnership call, I like to do my research. I like to know, okay, what are their pain points? You know, how can I help them? Who can I introduce them to? And do we really understand their offer? I think a lot of times business owners don't get enough referrals because the person on the other end doesn't really know what that person does. And they're like, I would refer you, but I know kind of a little bit about what you do, but I don't really know everything that you do. So make sure that you understand what that person's offers are so that you can make the referrals easier. And make sure that they know what you do so that they can make the vice versa a lot easier. And then who do they need to meet? Right? I know Charles has an entire business around who do you need to meet, right? With JV partnerships and how he uses that to explode businesses because it works. I'm using PandaDoc for proposals. I don't know if you guys are using any proposal software, but I've really enjoyed using this software because you can embed like videos in it. So we have like a cool welcome to Leduc Entertainment video where we're dancing around. It has example videos of what we do, video testimonials of people that we've helped, you know, pricing, the contracts built in. And I usually send out the referral partnership agreement in there too. So that way they understand, oh, this is how much they cost, so that when I need to send them referrals, they know what my offers are and they can go, okay, cool. This is how I can help them. So that's what we put in our proposal. Our follow-up is really fun. So right after we get done with a referral partnership call, I have this little box that's branded Leduc Entertainment. And when you open it, it has a red pill and a blue pill in it. And it has a QR code, and it takes you to a video of me dressed as Morpheus. And I'm like, something's wrong with your marketing. You know it is, right? And blah, 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 blah. And I go through the whole bit. People like really enjoy that. They send me unboxing videos of it, so it's really, really cool. If you aren't sending a direct mail piece, I would highly recommend it. It works really, really well. And if you can put a QR code that takes you to a video, that works really, really good. So we've been doing that. And get as creative as you can with this. It doesn't have to be so boring, right? Like put a creative video together. It's a differentiator for sure. So I asked people to add me to their email list because they're like, that's kind. Nobody's really asked me to be on their email list before, especially with attorneys. Maybe in this group, people are like, yeah, add me to your email list. But with attorneys, they're all like, yeah, would love to add you to the email list. But that also gives me information later on to go, hey, this is how I can help. This is their offers. This is what their world looks like. So it gives me more information on how I can help later on. We create social media calendars for them. So if they don't have a social media calendar, and this is for the referral partners, we'll create one and go, hey, check this out. If based on your business and based on how you help, this is how I would structure your social media calendar. Use it if you want to. Here you go. Here's another give. Obviously, introducing them to people in our network. We create clips from the podcast so that they can use it on their social media, which is a nice little give. We'll share compelling case studies with them, and then we invite them to masterminds that we're affiliated with. So, you know, Speakeasy, Flight Club, Visionary Forum, 8-Figure Firm. So it's just another touch point where I can give something. And then here's our secret sauce. And I was talking about the 5 love languages. How do we infuse care and heartfelt touch points into our follow-ups so that people, when they see your name, are looking forward to hearing from you. So that's what we've been doing. So if you don't know the 5 love languages, they're words of affirmation, gift giving, acts of service, quality time, and touch. Be careful with touch. So just be careful with touch. Okay, so words of affirmation. And obviously you guys are AI peeps in here, ChatGPT. This is just a starting point. Go in there and ask ChatGPT to give you some words of affirmation for that particular person, to talk about how great they are and how you can uplift them and how you can give them, some good juju, right? That's what we use in New Orleans, juju. So words of affirmation, thanking them, appreciating them, what you admire about them, being genuine, just celebrating their wins with them. People love this stuff. Gift giving. We have a gift giving strategy that we put into Go High Level on a quarterly basis with our top referral partners. So everything from, I've created a legacy video for Lewis's parents. That is a really fun thing that we do, where we interview their parents and we create a whole biopic for them, which they really, really enjoy. So that's, it's a $6,000 cost for us, but we do it for them because it's a nice gift. Obviously Christmas cards, if they're into butcher boxes, if they're into wine tasting. We've got a company in New Orleans called The Basketry. And so they have an entire store, and you go, hey, I want to send a gift to Carlos. He lives in Miami. He likes this stuff. And then they'll just create a gift basket for you and send it out to him. So works out really, really well. If you guys aren't using gifting strategy for your referral partners, highly recommend doing that. So the 4th love language, acts of service. So sending them referrals, leaving them Google reviews, listening in their pitch, their sales pitch, sending them and their team lunch, donating to their nonprofits. Once again, this is just starting points. I'm sure you guys can come up with 1,000 other ways to create acts of service for your referral partners. But I would make sure that you guys infuse it into your strategy, because intentionality is great, right? We can say, oh, we really want to start doing this. But if you're not actually planning for it and you don't have somebody owning that job, it's just not going to get done. So for us, we go into Go High Level and we automate all of the touch points per VA or me or whoever on the team has to send that out. So Melanie can send out a gift on this date. It's for that person. We're going to send words of affirmation. It reminds me to do that. Here's how I've made it a lot simpler for myself, is that I have my VAs just kind of have these emails created for me. They'll send it to my inbox, and then I'll send it from there. And it doesn't make the touch point any less impactful just because somebody else did it. And I'll tweak it, obviously, but it just makes sure that I am sending those things on a regular basis and that it's being done, and it's not just the intentionality there. And then, my gift for you guys is that I'll send you guys the Panda Doc example, the snapshot of our Go High Level, and then an invite to Spaghetti on the Wall so that you guys can connect, and I'll cut some clips from you guys, for you, so that you guys can use on your social media as well. So, questions? Oh, I've got 11 minutes. Wow, I blasted through that.
About the physical boxes that you send. Tell me about an example of one of those. And yeah, I'd love to hear the gift giving. And I think you said you use Matrix Boxes. You're a provider for that?
So internally, we just bought a bunch of boxes that look that are branded Leduc Entertainment, and then we buy either red or blue Jolly Ranchers. And then we've been putting the QR code on the box itself. So,
and you guys do the fulfillment. You don't use a fulfillment house?
We have not on the Matrix boxes.
Okay.
So I have somebody on the team. Her name is Megan. So she does it. But we are looking at getting another company to do that job right now.
So maybe not the Matrix box, but the larger gifts that you say you have an automated system. Give me a couple examples of those books.
It's basically, so we contact the basketry. The basketry is the gift company out in Luling that has an entire store, and we'll go, hey, this client just came on. We want to send him, he loves whiskey, so they'll create like a whiskey box and then throw in some New Orleans stuff in there and just like really pimp it out with, you know, with plastic and just make it look really, really nice. And they'll deliver it, and they can deliver it nationwide.
Got it. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Thank you.
What platform are you using to do the podcast in?
StreamYard. Yeah, StreamYard is what we're doing to actually like shoot the podcast.
Hey, Armando, good job so far.
Thank you.
The referral agreement part, what's that all about?
So our referral partnership is just something that is on paper that lets them know, hey, if they send us a referral, we'll give them 10%. And then whatever they decide reciprocally, if they're going to give us 10% or 5% or whatever, you know, just for us. And I got it from my CFO who, you know, who helps out a lot of marketing companies. He was the one that turned me onto it. And he goes, yeah, once I created it on paper, I started getting more referrals because it was like, okay, yeah, it's written. Yeah.
Do you are you sending anything to like corporate clients or anything, or when you're doing? Here's the question. The question is, do you ever limit the cost of the gift, and how do you look at what percentage of the referral fee is actually going toward the gifts?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, we'll have if it was a big referral, then we'll give them 10%, which they love, you know, but then we're also giving them, it depends on how, like Lewis, I'm trying to, as much as I can, right? Like quarterly, if he comes into town, I'm also referring him a lot of business because I know a lot of attorneys. So I'm like, you guys got to work with 8-figure firm. So we got a nice reciprocal thing going on. But as far as the amount of money, I've sent a gift that was $1,500 before, you know. So it really depends on the person. I mean, it could be a lot more depending on how much you want to nurture that relationship and what that relationship looks like.
So there's in your market, there's no real limit. The reason I ask is I used to do a lot in corporate. Corporate, they'll limit like enterprise rent-a-car. You can't give them anything over $20, $25.
Yeah, yeah. No, I don't think we're not working with like those type of companies, like a PI firm that, I mean, are some of the PI firms that we deal with are, you know, high 8 figures, but they're not corporate, so they don't care. You know, they're like, yeah, great, thank you. And a lot of times these attorneys aren't, and he knows because he works with a lot of attorneys, they love a gift, man. They don't ever get anything.
They want to feel good.
Yeah, they want to feel good.
I used to send ice cream.
Nice.
Quarterly quarts of ice cream, you know, 4 quarts from some fancy farm. And
Nice.
would keep coming. Everybody in the office was like, yeah. So
Yeah.
I did that for a year, a couple of times with lawyers. Now you got the office involved.
Yeah, I mean, Giftology, if you guys have read that book, it's a good book. Those guys come to find out that they were all Cutco like sales guys. That's why they love giving out knives. But I think it's a really good touch point because people love to get stuff in the mail these days, especially if it's creative. That's why I think that, you know, when we send out the Matrix box and they're like, what? This is great. I love this. You know, it's a whole adventure.
Well, those guys there, they all appreciate that.
Yeah, they do.
I mean, that's a particular crowd of people that off the charts works
Yeah,
really well.
really, really
I
well.
was with Jen yesterday.
Oh, were you? Oh, cool.
She was at the conference yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah, she's slaying it. She's killing it right now.
I have to talk about Sweet James.
Yeah.
I know Steve very well.
Oh, do you? Okay, cool.
What about what else do you include in the Panda doc that's gotten a lot of response? I love the idea to put a video. Anything else that's been really effective in there?
So we have I did a trailer based on like the Bourne Identity, and I'll share it with you guys. But it real super high quality where I'm like Jason Bourne and I have all the answers, and he's like, he can create 150 pieces of content in a day. Impossible. And I'm taking guys out and I've got a gun and I'm like, you know, so it's pretty wild. But people have responded really well to that. I've got a music video called Make a Video that I've inserted into that. So creative stuff people really do enjoy and are welcome to Leduc. Throughout our client journey, we have really fun videos that we send out that gets them ready for a shoot, or afterwards says, hey, my COO is also an actor, so I have him like dressed as this Renaissance guy, and he's all like, we have created the script for you, and you need to go in and you would need to approve it, and so it's fun videos that we can send throughout the client journey that goes, oh, these people are fun to work with. So, but that's after they become clients.
Hey Armando, Tristan here, rocking stuff, man. Thank you so
Thanks.
much. You got me super inspired thinking about how we might up level our show. We do a weekly show called the Tris Barina Wellness Show, and then we do these 2 big launches every year. And I started thinking I should ask you, like, how might you use this for affiliate strategies to bring in your top affiliates and do almost like what we used to do back in the day, it'd be a webinar before you'd have your launch, and they promote you to their peeps. Could you see this model working something like that pre-launch? Get a bunch of different like goodwill built up on the front end and.
Yeah, 1,000%. I think somebody that has big lists that you want to connect with. I'll tell you, a lot of times when I go to these other conferences, and I've started inviting people here to come on and have a conversation on the podcast. It just strengthens the relationship, because then you understand what it is, not just what they do, but who they are as people, right? And then you're connecting on that level, and you're like, oh, I didn't know that about you. Great. And then now when you guys go into having that conversation about sending affiliate links and and creating those JVs, it's a lot easier to connect with that person and build those relationships, because at the end of the day, it's all relationships, right? I mean, I'm on stage right now because of the relationship I have with Glenn.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you. I think we're going to run this.
Yeah. Hope you do. Thanks. Questions? So I have 3 minutes, and I want to shout out Kyle, because we did I was on his podcast, and if you haven't been on Kyle's podcast, highly recommend it. He'll interview you the entire show, and then at the end, he'll have a story for you. And I was like, man, amazing. I was like, wow, that's my story. And I was just so into it. So I'll spend the last 3 minutes talking about this story and why I sort of came to this realization and how I got here. So in 1994, I was walking home from school, and I was still living in Germany at the time, in K-Town. And I crossed the bridge. I remember crossing a bridge, and I'm on my way home. And this guy, John Barks, and 14 of his friends decide to circle me. And he was talking, and I had talked something about his girlfriend that was my girlfriend. I don't even remember the particulars, right? I'm in 8th grade, so what does it matter? They proceed to jump me, right? And so I get beat up by 14 people. And I remember getting beat up and feeling like an outsider, ostracized, alone. And after I got jumped, I started walking around with a chip on my shoulder, because I never wanted to feel that again. But I also realized that when I was looking at people and I was trying to connect with people, that I didn't want them to feel that either. I always wanted to feel like people were included, and that nobody was, you didn't have to sit over there. You had a seat at the table always, if I was around. And so started thinking about, how important it was for me to continuing to connect. And my wife always making the observation that I'm always hanging around broken people. She's like, why are you always hanging around these broken people? Right? And I was like, I don't know. I just feel like I need to help them in some capacity. Right? And I just learned that as I moved forward, and as I wanted a business, and as I wanted more relationships, that I just never wanted people to feel this way. and that I want to connect with people on a human level. And here I am in 2025 talking to you beautiful people about my experience and how it's been able to not just grow my business, but help me grow as a human being. And I really appreciate you guys listening to me.
Amazing. Thank you, brother. Gee, you're a pretty good presenter, we just found out. Thank you, mate.